Sometimes the clearest sign that someone belongs in your life is not that they make your pulse race. It's that they make your soul tell the truth. That's a different thing. And most people never learn the difference. They think love is urgency. They think love is obsession. They think love is the ache, the text, the chemistry, the fantasy, the inability to sleep, the constant need to decode every glance, every silence, every delay. They think because something is intense, it must be right. Because it burns, it must be real. Because it hurts, it must matter. I don't think so. I think a lot of what people call love is projection with a soundtrack. And if you don't understand that, you will keep confusing emotional electricity with meaning. You will keep handing your future to people who activated your wound, not your truth. You will keep calling it fate when it's actually the oldest pattern in your nervous system repeating itself with a new face. Listen, your heart can want what your soul did not choose. That's hard for people to hear because the heart is loud, the heart is immediate, the heart is dramatic, the soul is quieter, deeper, less interested in performance, less interested in fantasy, more interested in truth. And truth, my friend, does not always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives with recognition. Sometimes it arrives with peace. Sometimes it arrives as a strange sense that you are more yourself in the presence of this person, not less. That matters. Because the wrong person makes you perform. The right person reveals. The wrong person makes you abandon your center in order to keep the connection. The right person pulls you back toward your center even when the connection feels uncertain. The wrong person makes you edit your truth. The right person makes truth harder to avoid. That's not poetry. That's psychology. Carl Jung understood something most people still spend a lifetime trying to learn. We do not simply fall in love with another person. Very often, we fall in love with the image, the meaning, the possibility, the missing part of ourselves that we unconsciously project onto another human being, and then we don't see them. We see our hunger wearing their face. That's why the beginning can feel so magical. And that's also why it can feel so crushing when the image breaks. We don't experience people. We experience the meaning we attach to people. There are 1,000 qualities in a human being standing right in front of you. And if you are lonely enough, wounded enough, hungry enough, you will notice only the qualities that fit your story. Everything else gets deleted, distorted, ignored. You don't see the person. You see the medicine you hope they are. That's the trap. So what's the difference between someone who is meant for your heart and someone who is meant for your soul? Here's the truth. Someone meant only for your heart may awaken feeling. Someone meant for your soul awakens wholeness. Big difference. Your heart can get captured by what is beautiful, exciting, forbidden, unavailable, familiar, intense. Your soul is drawn to what enlarges you, what confronts you, what deepens you, what makes you less divided inside. What brings you closer to the person you were supposed to become before fear taught you to shrink. That's the game. And if you don't know the game plays you. Now let me say something carefully because this is where people get lost. The soul is not always soft. The soul is not always sentimental. The soul is not always comfortable. Sometimes the clearest sign a person is meant for your soul is that they disturb the false structure you built to survive. They don't just make you feel loved. They make you feel seen. And being seen is not always pleasant when you have spent years hiding from yourself. That's why soul-level connection can feel calm and terrifying at the same time. It's like standing at the edge of the ocean. Your heart says, this is beautiful. Your soul says, this is vast enough to change you. One response is attraction, the other is reverence. And I want you to see this. There are 3 decisions you make every moment of your life, especially in love, especially in connection, especially when someone walks into your world and shakes the ground a little. The first decision is what you focus on. The second decision is what meaning you give it. The third decision is what you do because of that meaning. That's not theory. That's your life in motion. Every fight, every attachment, every fantasy, every heartbreak, every leap, every retreat. First you decide what to notice. Then you decide what it means. Then you decide what to do. And most of the time you do it so fast you think it's reality. It's not reality. It's pattern, it's conditioning, it's the meaning maker inside you moving at the speed of habit. Focus is the lens. Meaning is the story. Action becomes destiny. Focus is the master key. If you focus on the text that didn't come, you feel rejected. If you focus on the depth of the last conversation, you feel hopeful. If you focus on their inconsistency, you feel anxiety. If you focus on the way you come alive around them, you feel possibility. Same person, different focus, different emotional state, different future. You don't experience life, you experience the life you focus on. That's why two people can meet the same person and have completely different realities. One feels addicted, one feels cautious, one feels inspired, one feels warned. The external is similar. The internal is everything. Both worlds exist. The outer world you can influence. The inner world you can direct. If you focus only on what they are doing, your energy belongs to them. If you learn to direct what you focus on, your life belongs to you. That is freedom. Now, what does that mean to you? It means before you ask whether they are meant for you, ask what part of you is doing the choosing. That's the real question. Is it your loneliness choosing? Is it your wound choosing? Is it your ego choosing? Is it your fantasy choosing? Is it the younger part of you, still starving for validation, choosing? Or is something deeper? Something quieter? Something less desperate? Something in you that is not trying to be saved, but trying to become whole? Because your wound and your wisdom do not date the same people. Let me say that again. Your wound and your wisdom do not date the same people. One chases intensity, the other recognizes alignment. One wants relief, the other wants truth. One says, I need to have them. The other says, I become more myself here. That's one of the clearest signs. You do not become less honest around them. You become more honest, you do not feel more fragmented. You feel more integrated. You do not feel the pressure to impress. You feel the invitation to unfold. And that unfolding is not always glamorous. Sometimes it looks like tears you did not expect. Sometimes it looks like old grief coming up. Sometimes it looks like your defenses failing. Sometimes it looks like a strange calm where your old chaos used to be. And because so many people are addicted to chaos, peace can feel boring at first. Familiar pain feels exciting. Unfamiliar peace feels suspicious. That's not intuition, that's conditioning. A lot of people walk away from healthy love because it doesn't trigger the chemistry of their old wound. They say there's no spark. No, there's no emergency. There's no confusion. There's no emotional roller coaster convincing you that suffering is depth. You're not starved. You're not chasing. You're not guessing all day. So your nervous system, trained in struggle, says this can't be it. But here's the thing. A fire can warm your house or burn it down. Intensity tells you nothing by itself. You have to ask what it's producing. Is it producing truth? Is it producing courage? Is it producing growth? Is it producing peace with vitality? Or is it producing obsession, depletion, self-abandonment, mental noise, and a shrinking of your life? It's not chemistry. It's consequence. And I know I'm right about this because human beings are meaning makers. We assign holiness to what wounds us if the wound is familiar enough. We call it destiny because that hurts less than calling it repetition. Carl Jung talked about this in the language of projection. The parts of ourselves we have not owned, not integrated, not understood, get cast outward. We meet someone and think they are the source of the feeling. Sometimes they are the trigger, yes. But very often they are the screen, they carry the image, they activate the unconscious, they wake something ancient inside us. That can be beautiful. It can also be dangerous if we confuse activation with alignment. So what are the clear signs? The first sign is that the connection brings you closer to reality, not farther from it. That's huge. When someone is meant only for your fantasy, your mind gets louder. You imagine, you predict, you obsess, you interpret, you live in maybe. You live in someday, you live in potential. But when someone touches your soul, something different happens. You become more honest about what is, not just what could be. You stop needing to decorate the truth. You become willing to see the whole person and still stay grounded in your own center. Not blinded, grounded. There's a difference between being captivated and being called. Being captivated is emotional. Being called is existential. One changes your mood, the other changes your direction. You want to know why that matters? Because the soul is interested in individuation, in becoming whole, in becoming less divided, in becoming what Jung called a real individual, not just a social mask, not just a persona stitched together to belong, impress, survive, or avoid rejection. And sometimes a person enters your life not because they are your final destination, but because they force you into that journey. They expose the split. They make the mask unbearable. They show you where you end and where your performance begins. That is not always romantic, but it is sacred in the deepest psychological sense. Now listen to me carefully. One of the strongest signs that someone is meant for your soul is that your old strategies stop working around them. The flirting you used to hide behind, the detachment, the coolness, the overthinking, the people-pleasing, the seduction, the self-protection, the emotional shutdown. Suddenly those patterns feel cheap, inadequate, exhausting. You realize you cannot build something real with tools designed for survival. It's like trying to take an island while keeping your boats on the shore. You say you want the life. You say you want the truth. You say you want the depth. But you keep a path open to retreat into your old identity, into your old pattern, into the same defense that kept you safe and alone. If you want the island, you burn the boats. If you want soul-level love, you burn the version of you that only knew how to survive connection, not inhabit it. That's commitment, not to them first, to truth first. Because if you're still negotiating with your own fear, every person will feel confusing. And confusion has become romanticized in our culture. People say, I just don't know what this is. I feel so much. Maybe that means it's profound. No, sometimes confusion means the signal is mixed with noise. Sometimes confusion is what happens when your intuition is speaking softly and your wound is screaming through a megaphone. Again, your wound is loud. Your wisdom is precise. There's another sign, and it's a powerful one. Someone meant for your soul does not simply mirror your strengths. They reveal your shadow without humiliating you. That's rare. Because the shadow is everything you had to hide in order to be loved, accepted, safe, functional. Your rage, your envy, your need, your fear, your softness, your dependency, your ambition, your grief. Sometimes even your beauty. And when you have pushed those things underground for years, they don't disappear. They operate from below. They leak into your choices. They show up as projection. You judge in others what you cannot yet hold in yourself. Then one day somebody arrives, and in their presence all that hidden material begins to move. Not because they are magical, because they are catalytic. That's different. And when that happens, you will be tempted to make the other person the whole story. They made me feel this. They caused this. They are the answer. They are the problem. But here's the deeper truth. They may be the mirror. They may be the invitation. They may be the call. But the work is still yours. The work is always yours. And that is good news because it means your life is not at the mercy of another person's choice. It means the greatest gift of a soul connection is not possession. It's transformation. Maybe they stay, maybe they don't. But if they are meant for your soul, you will not leave the encounter the same. That's the mark. I want to go deeper here because this is where a lot of you listening to this right now will feel something in your chest. If you suffered early in life, if you were unseen, if you were loved inconsistently, if affection came mixed with tension, if approval had to be earned, if you learned to read every room before you spoke, if you became mature too fast because survival demanded it, then your heart may have been trained to chase what your soul actually needs to heal. That's cruel for a while, because the very thing you think means love may simply mean recognition of an old wound. But here is the part that changes lives. The pain was not meaningless. The loneliness was not empty. The fact that you had to become emotionally self-sufficient may have left scars, yes, but it also built capacities that other people spend decades trying to develop. The fact that you had to read people early may mean you now possess uncommon sensitivity. The fact that nobody came to rescue you may have built a kind of inner resourcefulness. The fact that you learned to sit with your own mind may mean you can hear subtleties other people miss. The fact that you were forced to endure may mean you carry a depth that cannot be faked. I'm not glorifying suffering. I'm transforming meaning. There's a difference. Because if you keep seeing your past only as damage, you will build your future from deficiency. But if you can look back with honesty and say, yes, that hurt me, and yes, it also forged capacities, now you are no longer just the wounded child. You become the adult who can reinterpret the story without denying the pain. And that changes your emotional state. It changes your identity. It changes what kind of love you will accept. Life is not only what happened. Life is what meaning you make from what happened. And the person meant for your soul often accelerates that reckoning. They don't just make you feel adored. They make it impossible to remain asleep. They touch the places where your old story no longer fits. They draw out the unlived parts of you. They make your current identity feel too small. That's why some connections feel bigger than romance. Because they are. They are initiations. They are thresholds. They are the beginning of the hero's journey inside your own psyche. And the dragon is not always them. Sometimes the dragon is your fear of becoming who you really are. Sometimes the dragon is your attachment to the familiar version of pain. Sometimes the dragon is your compulsion to choose what confirms your old belief that love is hard, distant, unstable, or unavailable. And if you slay that dragon, you do not just get the relationship. You get your life back. Now let me be honest with you. Not every deep connection is meant to be permanent. Some people are bridges, some are mirrors, some are teachers, some are home. Wisdom is learning the difference. And you do that not by asking only how strongly you feel. You do it by asking what the connection is producing in your character, your nervous system, your truthfulness, your courage, your daily life. That's the test. A healthy soul connection increases your capacity for reality. It doesn't drag you away from it. You sleep better, not worse. Over time, you become more creative, not more compulsive. You speak more truth, not more strategy. You feel more energized in your own life, not only in reaction to theirs. You stop betraying your own non-negotiables just to keep the bond alive. That matters because love without self-respect becomes addiction very quickly. And addiction always disguises itself as devotion in the beginning. It's like the spinning propeller on an old warplane. Beautiful motion, powerful motion, loud motion. But if you run at it blindly, it will cut you to pieces. Some people keep trying to outrun their own patterns while staying in environments that feed those patterns every day. You say you want peace, but you live on stimulation. You say you want depth, but you feed fantasy. You say you want truth, but you keep negotiating with distortion. You cannot outrun a pattern while feeding it. The simplest way is to change what you rehearse, which brings me to something practical, because all transformation has to become behavioral, or it's just another beautiful idea. Here is your drill. For the next 24 hours, and I mean literally in the next 24 hours, take 90 seconds and write 2 columns. In the first column, write what this person makes you feel. In the second column, write what this connection makes you become. Not what you hope it becomes, not what it might become, what it makes you become right now. More honest, more anxious, more alive. More confused, more grounded, more needy, more courageous, more fragmented, more creative, more self-abandoning, more peaceful, more distorted. Just tell the truth. Then read the second column twice. Because feelings rise and fall. Patterns reveal destiny. The soul is interested in what you are becoming. That drill can save you years. Because wishing for clarity without honesty is delusion. And wishing for confidence without competence is delusion too. You build confidence by telling the truth long enough that your inner life stops splitting in half. That is real power. Later in life, if you do the work, you begin to move through stages of awareness. First, you don't know what you don't know. Then you painfully see the pattern. Then you consciously practice something new. Then one day, the new way becomes natural. That's true in business, it's true in intimacy, it's true in your own psychology. At first, you unconsciously choose the familiar wound. Then you become conscious of it and feel almost embarrassed by how many times you repeated it. Then you practice choosing differently, even when every part of you wants to go back. Then finally, after enough truth, after enough repetition, after enough self-respect, peace no longer feels foreign. It feels normal. That is growth, not perfection, pattern interruption. And the person meant for your soul will support that movement. Even if the connection is challenging, even if it asks more of you than comfort, it will call forth responsibility, not just longing. It will make you want to rise, not pose, rise. It's not possession, it's participation. It's not drama, it's depth. It's not fantasy, it's formation. And yes, the heart matters. Of course it does. Feeling matters, passion matters, desire matters. But if the heart is not joined by truth, you can give your devotion to something that destroys your life. The soul is wiser than urgency. The soul asks a harder question. Not do I want this, not even do I feel this, but does this move me toward wholeness? That's the question. And sometimes the answer is yes in a way that surprises you. The person may not be your type, the beginning may not look cinematic, the chemistry may be quieter and deeper, The signal may come less as obsession and more as recognition, less as panic and more as presence. You feel yourself returning to yourself. You feel your defenses loosening. You feel your future opening. You feel a steadiness that does not kill the spark but purifies it. That's a different fire. That's the kind that can last. I believe this. The clearest sign they are meant for your soul is not that you cannot stop thinking about them. It is that, in some profound and difficult and beautiful way, they make it harder for you to keep abandoning yourself. That's love with meaning. That's connection with direction. That's attraction with a purpose bigger than appetite. And whether they stay in your life forever or not, if the bond pulls you into greater honesty, greater courage, greater integration, greater responsibility for your own emotional state, then it served the soul. It did its work. It answered the call. Now, what does that mean to you? It means stop asking only who feels magical. Start asking who makes truth unavoidable. Stop asking only where the chemistry is strongest. Start asking where your character becomes stronger. Stop asking only whether your heart is racing. Ask whether your life is expanding. Ask whether your spirit is becoming less divided. Ask whether the meaning of this connection makes you more real. Because the highest quality of love is not found in the loudest feeling. It is found in the deepest alignment. And if you find that, protect it. If you don't find it yet, become capable of it. Because the deepest relationships are not built by luck alone. They are built by the kind of person you are willing to become. So slow down, tell the truth, watch the pattern. Notice what grows in you when they enter the room. Notice what collapses in you when they leave. Notice whether your soul gets larger or your story gets louder. Notice whether this bond is making you more whole or merely more hungry. That answer is everything. The heart can be captured in a moment. The soul recognizes over time. And when it knows, it does not always shout. Sometimes it just becomes still. Sometimes it says, this is not perfect, but it is real. Sometimes it says, I do not need to become someone else to stay here. Sometimes it says, I can finally stop performing. And that, my friend, is one of the clearest signs of all. The people meant only for your heart may give you intensity. The people meant for your soul give you truth. And truth, when you are finally ready for it, feels like coming home to the parts of yourself you should never have had to leave.